Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Chelsea and I'm a final year medical student, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about how to go plant-based. Now this video is for complete beginners, and if you've ever had questions, things you want to be clarified about a plant-based diet, by the end of this video I hope sincerely that I'm able to answer most of it and you're able to begin your plant-based journey almost immediately. So if you want to learn about how to go about starting a healthy plant-based lifestyle, then stick around. Yeah, subscribe and like, and I'll see you. So I'm trying my best to stop rushing my words in my videos. So the first thing I want to explain is what exactly is a plant-based diet. So a plant-based diet is basically a type of diet that prioritizes plant-based produce, and I would say it's a spectrum. It ranges from like plant predominant eating all the way to veganism, right? So for plant predominant, I mean people who maybe they don't eat meat till dinner, or maybe they still eat some meat and dairy and eggs, but maybe it's a few times a week, so to speak, but not every day. But they do make a point of prioritizing plant-based foods. Then you have vegetarians who themselves, they eat plant-based foods, but the difference is they don't eat meat at all, but they still eat dairy and eggs, I believe. Whereas veganism is when you don't eat meat, dairy, eggs, and it's supposed to be all animal produce of any kind. I'm a vegan, but I didn't start out as a vegan. I actually started out as a plant predominant, eating mostly plants, and then I transitioned into a vegan diet. So if you feel like it's such a daunting task to become a vegan or to start eating a plant-based food or to start eating a plant-based diet, remember that you can always take it step by step and kind of ease into it, because I know you already have groceries right now and I don't expect you to just throw away all of those groceries. This isn't the whole story, but I wanted to give a bit of background as to how I got started in this plant-based journey. So August of last year, August 2023, I decided that I wasn't comfortable at my weight and I wanted to change my weight a bit, and then that led me to so much research and all. And of course, I feel like the first thing that gets presented to you is don't eat rice, don't eat yam, don't eat carbs. And yes, that did work, because you will see some weight on the scale drop really fast, but most of it is due to water weight loss and not really adipose tissue like fat loss, right? So then as time went on, it became really increasingly difficult to cut out a lot of staple Nigerian foods, because bear in mind I live in West Africa and the staple Nigerian foods are carbohydrates, so it became really difficult to sustain that lifestyle, so to speak. And then that led me to doing more research, because I knew that this couldn't be it, right? Like this couldn't be God's best for me and for the world in terms of diets and all. And then that was when I found a channel. Her name is Vegan Mish. I don't know if she still makes videos, but her channel is such a gold mine for knowledge and nutrition research. And it was through her channel that I really got into the research of nutrition, and I got to know that yes, there are two schools of thought. When you're trying to lose weight, there's the low carb and then there's a high carb school of thought. So whereas the low carb does produce immediate weight loss on the scale, but it's due to dehydration of your muscles, because glycogen is stored in your muscles, and glycogen itself stores about 3 or 4 times its weight in water. So yes, you will see some change when you deplete those glycogen stores by not eating carbohydrates. And on the other hand, there's another school of thought, which is the high carb or moderate carb weight loss. Vegan Mish's argument about high carbs, that's when I got to know about living plant-based. So living, for me, I wish I could say it was about saving the plants or saving the planet, but initially it was just about my well-being, and I knew that there had to be a better way of living, a more sustainable way of eating that I could eat for a lifetime and I wouldn't feel like I wouldn't feel something is severely lacking in my life. So you might be wondering, so I've been plant-based for like 2 months. I'm a beginner myself. I'm not an expert, but I've been plant-based for 2 months and I have seen some fat loss, yes, and I've also seen some other benefits beyond fat loss. And I've also been able to kind of put myself aside and look at the bigger picture as to why I think a plant-based way of eating is better for the planet in general. So, but that might not be your goal. Your goal for this video might be weight loss, which is fine. So you might be asking like, okay, you're plant-based, Chelsea, you're plant-based, but why should I be plant-based? So instead of giving, I've seen a lot of benefits myself, but I don't want to be anecdotal, and I actually want to give evidence-based benefits that you can get from being more plant-based. But as you add more plants to your diet, research has shown a lot of benefits that you get. For example, research has shown an overall lowering of triglycerides, improving of lipid profiles. Plant-based diet is associated less with like a reduced amount of depression and anxiety. Plant-based lifestyle has been even, like, veganism has been used by a certain doctor. I can't really pronounce his name. It has even been used to reverse coronary artery disease. The point of coronary artery disease is atherosclerosis, which is lipids in the endothelial wall of the vessel. So when you eat more plants which are lower in saturated fats, then the doctor was actually able to reverse these symptoms of coronary artery disease. Eating more plants has been associated with better, more diverse gut microbiome. Vegans have the lowest BMI among omnivores and carnivores all over the world. Vegans are also more likely to be healthy and more likely to care about their health than other types of eating. Like, there are just so many studies. I think there was a broad study, BROAD, and bear in mind I'll link the references to all of this in the description box. So there was a broad study that was done, and it showed that eating a high carb vegan diet was associated with keeping the results of weight loss like at bay long term. As much as 80% of people that lose weight using any form of weight loss tend to regain it back within 2 years, but it wasn't found to be so in a low-fat vegan diet. So I thought to put that in there. And there's just so many benefits to adding more plants to your diet. Also, you become more frequent with your bowel movements, and there's just so many benefits. I wish I could just give you a list of groceries that you could just buy that wouldn't be 1,000 pages long. So how do you get started on a plant-based diet? The first thing you want to do is to evaluate the food you're already eating. Like, a lot of foods are plant-based accidentally. You're probably eating a lot of plant-based foods without even knowing. Like, for example, moi moi, like, it's called bean cake. It's a plant-based food. How do I put it? Bread is plant-based. Even cake is plant-based. Chin chin is plant-based, though I don't think you should eat that for weight loss though. But like, a lot of things that we already enjoy in our environment are already plant-based. So you need to evaluate first, okay, what are the foods I'm already eating that might be plant-based? And secondly, the thing about picking a diet that is suitable for you and your specific situation for weight loss is that it has to be locally available and culturally acceptable. So that means you have to pick from the plants that grow closest to you, right? Unless if you live in America or Europe, where they have such a diversity of food from all over the world because they have top-notch food preservation systems. And even at that, it's always better to buy plants or food that grows locally. So for me, that would mean things like brown rice or fada rice, because I live in West Africa. Things like millets, things like soybeans, things like black eyed peas, that's beans or chickpeas. And like, for me, it wouldn't make sense for me to make something like quinoa to be my daily meal. Not that quinoa is bad, but because it doesn't grow here. So it will cost me an arm and a leg trying to maintain that diet, unless if maybe I'm just able to maintain it. So what you want to do is to evaluate what is around you and what is available. The type of potatoes, for example, that are available vary from region to region. The type of yams that are available vary from region to region. So the first thing you want to do is evaluate, okay, what am I already eating that is plant-based, and continue to eat more of that. And secondly, what are the locally available foods around me? The kind of diet I recommend for weight loss is a low-fat vegan diet, and you can really eat you can eat as much carbs as you feel like eating, and you still wouldn't have consumed that many calories. Just imagine how full you feel after eating a potato. It's almost impossible to overeat on potatoes because you would feel like puking, right? So that's the kind of diet that I recommend for weight loss. So you want to seek out those foods around you. Seek out whole, unprocessed carbs that grow locally, that you can afford and that you enjoy, and have those. Don't be so concerned about exotic foods, at least as of now. That thing you want to do so now that you've identified your staple foods, you now want to maybe do a bit of meal prep. Personally, for me, at the beginning of every week, I cook my grains, and I have the grains for lunch every day. So my grains are either jollof millet, like you will see in my videos, or I have boiled beans. I just boil beans. And I boil honey beans because they're my favorite kind of beans. They taste so sweet at the beginning of the week, and I have that for lunch every day. So you want to meal prep things that will make cooking a bit easier. Then you want to get your non-starchy veggies, of course. So that's things like lettuce, greens. For me, I prefer pumpkin leaf because it's kind of crunchy, right? As opposed to some other people prefer ewedu or shoko, I think that's what it's called. Some people also prefer green. Those are great, but I personally like crunchy foods. That's why. So choose your green. I always have cabbages in the house, cabbage, carrots, tomatoes. Oh my god, I love tomatoes so much. And tomatoes, when people ask me how I cook without oil, is because I have tomatoes. So I use tomatoes in almost everything I cook. I just use it as the base. So I put tomatoes, and then I put my onions, and I don't even miss oil. Tomatoes already give it a thick consistency, so I always have tomatoes in the house. So identify your staple foods and then do your meal prep at the beginning of the week. This is what I consider to be the best and most appropriate approach to diets that helps you to lose weight long term without feeling crazy and neurotic. But it's also important that I should say that the soil has been depleted of B12, so it's something you might have to supplement on a vegan diet. You have to supplement your B12. You have to supplement your B12 and sometimes iron, because some people do have some deficiencies in their iron transporters, so you have to supplement the two of them. I don't really recommend that everybody should go plant-based totally. If you are in a population where most of them are malnourished, have protein, energy, malnutrition, then I don't expect you to go plant-based, because you don't have the luxury of time. Because animal products are digested more quickly, so in those malnourished populations, you can actually administer animal-based nutrition. I'm not saying you should cut it out entirely, but if you know that you're not malnourished and maybe you're even overnourished, maybe you're overweight, or you're trying to prevent chronic diseases, or maybe even reverse some of them, then I do think that a low-fat plant-based diet is the way to go. So in conclusion, I have given a background of benefits on why you should try a plant-based diet and how to ease into it. I've also given guidelines on how to identify the plant-based meals you're already eating and to amplify those. I've also talked about identifying locally available staple vegetables in your environment, and I've talked about the examples of those kind of foods. I also have talked about nuances with this form of nutrition. In this kind of eating is cooking heavy, right? So it's something that you might actually have to learn how to at least use the kitchen a little bit. You mustn't be a gourmet chef, but it's a cooking heavy lifestyle. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you've been able to learn something from my rant, so to speak, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.